In a way, transcendental leadership is leading from the whole, and at least our positioning in that, our perception of that. So we've had a lot of experience looking at things from our perspective, of course, because that's our design. We have a perspective and a relationship with life and a repertoire of experiences and beliefs that enable us to navigate that. And then as we gain that experience, we begin to awaken more inside to this deeper transcendent nature, and it gives us a new reference point from which to measure life. So instead of just having one measure, which we engage life, we reflect on it, we measure to our experience, we measure to our beliefs and standards in our training and our aptitudes. And there's a, as we awaken inwardly, this becomes a practical endeavor. Up to that point, we identify with our reflections or what we built up about in our experience. So there's a call to this deeper awakening to start identifying ourselves differently. And it is quite challenging because especially, by now we built up some strength of character and know how to stand our ground and meet challenges. Hopefully we're realizing that reactive approaches or dominating approaches or zero-sum games aren't a good practice, and we've softened ourselves a bit. So as this inner awakening occurs, we have a different measure, and of course that's the loving, that's the transcendent sense of loving, not just the love of life, the love of others, the love of environment, the love of nature. This is which is in the fabric of creation, but this is a love that transcends creation, and so it has a way of enabling us to be held by life, but it also makes us part of that which is holding life. It's a bigger embrace. So at first we have to practice this. It's such an odd thing to talk about. Being so into your loving that you're nothing, in terms of all the millennia of evolution that we've gone through. And it's not something that, it's not a nothing that supersedes or cancels all the ways we identify ourselves. Like we're still an office we hold, we're still a parent, we're still a lover, we're still all those things. We're still a practitioner, whatever sort. It's not that we don't call ourselves that, but it's we call ourselves those things in a fondness of ourself, in a love and respect of the various roles and identities that we have in the world. It's like it's almost like our activities in life are our own children, which is an odd way to say that. So we love and take care of the various statuses we have in the world and the various ways we have of standing forth in our power and capacity to live life. And all along, we know we're this silent, we're almost like our own silent partner inside, where in this nothingness we start to participate in an atmosphere of being almost. A sense of going out into the far country, the outer reaches of space, perhaps, that's a good metaphor, but the outer reaches that even contain space, that hold space. In the practice of that, it becomes an exercise of, can you stay in a place of that kind of intimacy with the divine without the mind distracting us out into things. We have a couple of pet dogs. And dogs are wonderful, but you're so devoted, but they get distracted easily. Like they'll see a rabbit run, so it's like zoom. They hear something outside, they're gone. They're just, especially this puppy we have, it's so distractible. It's like it's like a combination of ADD and loving, if that makes sense to you. It's just all over the place. So that's the way our mind is. It's just so curious. I don't know why I'm remembering this. I was watching a thing on New Zealand parrots. There's some parrots in the high country there that actually like alpine areas. But they're so curious and they're so intelligent. They had traps out to catch the invasive species of marmots and stuff like that. And they put an egg in there to attract its bait. Well, so the parrot comes along, picks up a stick, goes in there, breaks the egg so it'll flow, and then it can eat it through the wire of the trap. So there's a kind of I don't know, something about a curiosity that's built into nature, that whatever kind of creature you are, there's an evolution that makes you interested in everything. And of course, if you get too self-conscious, self-aware, then you start identifying yourself in the midst of that. So that's the nature of the loving of life. But now we're looking at the love that loves life, that loves the love of life. It's a deeper, silent dimension inside of us that invites us to participate in a quality of our consciousness that has certainly not been offered yet as a way to live on the planet with large numbers of people. And I don't even know if that's the case now. But it's that kind of calling. So it's whatever we're doing is, we can just stop judging it and embrace it and just really enjoy it, because it's almost like that's not the mission. The mission is to wake up to our own silent partnership of ourself in a deeper nature that's perhaps it's like it is soul, but it's in the soul you're in a different kind of relationship, one that oh gosh, this is such funny analogies coming up. Like somebody leaves their country and goes to, like, say somebody comes up here from Mexico and gets a job and sends money back home. So that's kind of our relationship with our soul for a long time. We get experience, transform it into loving, and then send it to our soul back home in the soul realm. So we've been doing that a long time. So the soul realm self has gotten very wealthy and is starting to assert itself. to have more say and more dominance in the everyday life. This is a wonderful thing, except it's confusing at first because we're so used to the world self. I don't know what place that has in the talk, but I found a very amusing image. So going a little deeper in this, it's like in our inception, there was like the seed of a sacred trust. That is, we would it's almost like go into life, establish yourself, get used to it, gain experience, and you've been entrusted inside with a quality of being that's transcendent or entirely holy. And at a certain time, this opens inside of you, and when this does, you remember that that's your loyalty, and so it's like a sacred trust of to operate in the world a certain way. There's an aspect of us that's visionary. It's like it can think beyond. It envisions possibilities beyond what is known. In other words, it extrapolates beyond the confines of the structure of our understanding and knowledge. And all innovators do it this way. Like you see possibilities. Like, oh, we can't possibly go to Mars. It's like, of course we can go to Mars. And so, Elon Musk starts building his life so he has the resources to develop a ship to go to Mars, just because he can. And there's a visionary consciousness. Now he came in with that, and so we all do that in some ways in our own life. But at first, that visionary consciousness is kind of nascent. In other words, we're still capable of talking ourselves out of our own visionary nature. Like we have a vision of something, and our practical self is still over important. Like it's over practical. Instead of developing a plan on how to do it, it develops a plan on how not to do it. So it diminishes our embrace of our visionary nature. There's can't get the right word. Oh, critical mass. There's a critical mass to your vision, where if it's allowed to build enough energy on itself, it also starts generating the vision of how to get there. So it's like, oh, we can get there. Then it starts generating how to get there. But it requires a loyalty and an embrace to this dimension of us that which this arises from. So what's that mean in a practical way? Well, when you have the vision and you're running out scenarios on how to do it, you make a note of them, not in detail, but just to start outlining them, so that you can sort them out between the world self that knows how to get there and the world self that knows all the reasons you can't get there. So once you get it out here where you can look at it, you can neutralize it. You can disidentify with it. Say, oh, I'm not these lists. I'm not these two selves I've listed here. I'm not the one. I'm not this self that says you no, and I'm also not the self that says yes, because it's just information. So once you disidentify from that dimension, that visionary nature that comes out of the source can start inserting or downloading not just possibilities, but technical stuff and strategies on how to bring it about. And because of the magnetic nature of that, it also starts generating well, I'll say generating, this goes on funny, generating synchronicity. In other words, starts generating the improbable crossing paths with resources and people you need to get there. I guess in a way it's like, well, that person, like it came out of the blue, we say sometimes. Well, it does, it comes out of the blue. Comes out of nowhere. How did this happen? And you hear sometimes about, we have synchronicities in our own life. Some of them feel negative and some of them feel positive, but there's still synchronicities that bring about what you need to go further. So there's another perspective in this identity we're invited into, is that the negative things that happen are just as much there to help as the positive things. Because the negative things are a way to get something resolved, either something inside of you that's in the way, or some skill you need, or some obstacle in the world that needs to be transformed in order for you to get there. So it's just as helpful as the positive one. So then you have these two agencies of yourself that are working with those issues. At the same time, you're identifying with the leadership leading from the whole. So when you lead from the whole, you're also coming toward yourself. You're also working through the opportunities and the resources that are here, and you're also coming out within yourself to connect with and find those. That's something you can't think up. It's something you can surrender to. Challenges with surrender. When we surrender, we let go. And that can be tough because we'll let go of everything, including our ability to pay attention. So the more you're identified out here with your issues, your viewpoints, your prejudice, your self-importance, when you try to surrender, it'll be very confusing because your identity goes with it. So inside you have to keep nurturing this sense of self in that inner transcendent place of silence, so that when you surrender, you wake up more instead of going confused. I hope that makes sense. So there's maybe if you can imagine this, it's like, oh, when I let go of everything about my life, do I space? Do I get confused? Do I panic? Do I get frightened? Or do I just feel more secure and clear and more present with all those aspects of them that I just let go of or disidentified from? That's a test. So that becomes a practice. So sometimes that takes incidences in our life to shake us so that we make that transition. And so, and this is kind of risk in this. Once you start remembering that you were in the seed of your being, there's a sacred trust. As soon as you start being pulled into that, you set off a pattern, a message into your life to start sorting all this stuff out I just talked about, to start rearranging your relationship to things. And one thing I noticed about it, instead of, some things you won't be interested anymore. Some things you'll be more deeply interested. Some things they'll be more loving in. And some things you say, why was I in love with that? So it's likely to, in a sense, intensify your feelings. So if you just go flat in your emotions, it's probably different than what I'm talking about. If you go flat in relationship to an activity you used to be embroiled in or identified with or addicted to, it's probably just that you're shedding that one, and then your love and your enthusiasm intensifies and deepens in another area, and so that tells you, oh, that's one this transcendent quality is working through for some reason, either because because it's in your lineup. That's why. So the sense of responsibility also shifts. We say, well, I'm responsible for this thing I agreed to. I'm responsible to that work. I'm responsible because of these values I have. I'm not suggesting those go away, but there's a deeper responsibility takes hold, and this is key to all the other responsibilities that may be in your life. It'll even strengthen them, maybe. But we talk about being present with what is, and so that becomes the responsibility. So where you're maybe pulled into all these responsibilities, those could burn you out. But there's a way to be responsible that brings the energy and the synchronicity forward to better deal with those responsibilities. And that's the intimacy of this inner invitation. You're enhanced in your ability to be so present with something for what it is, not for your projections or your biases about what it is or should be. It's just what is. See, that's a kind of responsibility to be present in that way. What that allows is that your ability to really see what's next or what you need to do or what response to give. But it also allows the wholeness to work through this on the behalf of manifesting more love in the world. In other words, it enhances that capacity for love to have its way, both in particular to what you're doing, but just in general. You become a anchor for that. So when we talk about transcendental leadership, it's anchored into the earth. It connects, and we're present in that, and that's our little operating zone. So we're sourcing ourselves from ourselves, but we're more engaged. It actually is going to sharpen the engagement with certain things. So it's really engaged with life, but from the sense of this inner impetus to be here present in a certain way and engage. Like each of you have areas of engagement in your life. And I guess until we get to this place, see, before we needed, well, I got to make a living, so I got to stay engaged. Well, that's good because that's training wheels. Is that what we got? That's what we're going to use. See, this deeper place engages because it just loves to do it. It just, well, this is exciting, let's live. See, and of course that may get a good financial response from your life because you track the resources you need to do what you want to do. But see, the motive for engagement changes, where it's no longer so overwhelmed by surviving, being safe, being sheltered. All those things still matter, but it's not our carrot. It's not, well, I've got to work to make money, or I got to make money because I love to make money. Well, maybe that's not so bad. That's not what I'm doing. But see, it shifts the impetus inside. So you're better able to look at any places of lack that still motivate you in terms of threats or challenges from the world or requirements of the world. We just meet those in a practical way. I'm going to do a meditation, then so if you'll all get settled in the place where you can be settled in your space. So of course it's an inward process, so let's close our eyes and become aware of ourselves in our body and in our space. Maybe touch into your heart and bring your loving forward. Just take a deep breath and just recall all the things that breath does. As you breathe in deeply, it breathes that prana and that loving through our consciousness, through our body, through our space, but also pulls in the cosmic loving through the earth and the divine loving through the heavens. It also brings that and modulates it in our heart with the energies of life. So just open to that largeness of just taking this breath in and exhaling. And what it does, it takes the loving and then releases all the dross from the levels of our being. And enhances the space for us to receive. So just become aware of the enhanced loving as your heart expands, fills your person, fills your space, flows out into life, receive back from life. And then as that goes on of its own, bring your awareness into that central column of light in a more direct way. And become more awake to the flowing of that energy between the earth and the heavens. The highest aspect of your being and the most grounded aspect of your being. And while that all continues, just bring your awareness down to the center of your head. And in that point of light, just open that, expand that. You may feel a shift in perspective when you do this. Just expand that light out. So that it envelops your awareness of you and your space, your body, your space. And then place even your awareness even more deeply into that source in the center of your head. And imagine this is a doorway there. This doorway is into a very sacred space inside of you. And this is the space within you which has resided this seed of the sacred trust. Of this divine relationship between you and the Creator is placed in you from the beginning. So when you're ready, just step through that doorway into that space, into that room inside of you. And as you do that, give your will to it. Let it show you its nature, your nature, this sacred intimacy of this trust. That was given in the inception of your being. And as is the nature of this, as it awakens, as you awaken in it, as you engage the intimacy of the loving, as you experience the mantle placed on you from this, it begins to permeate every level of your consciousness, your physical body, your imaginal, emotional, mental, etheric. All of your being within the mirror of life is permeated with all your being that holds life from your soul. And trust that whatever level you're aware of this process in the moment, all the other levels are occurring. So as you choose this, it becomes active. So if you're not sure you've chosen, just say yes. So make a place for this now in the concept of yourself, that this is the center. This is the self. And organize all other aspects of your life as an expression of this, as a way of giving and receiving in life. This is your identity. So just inwardly reach out to all things that you care about and have taken responsibility for. And encompass them within this. Sacred trust. So inwardly, just say, so be it, and just move into that place of gratitude. Thanks. And just take your time, but as you're ready, just open your eyes. So I'm gonna go ahead with the next piece. in that it's got it's a fun little title here. It's called Wombing the Future. So in this, yeah.
I didn't get that word.
Wombing, W-O-M-B-I-N-G. You know, like womb?
Okay.
That's a noun, but I'm changing it into a verb. Wombing the future. So we all had a lot of experience with what happens in a womb. I think Jesus had to go to the stable because there was no womb in the end. That's a pun.
Can I share something? I know it's a little out of it, but Kaya, who's currently at medical school, one of her fellow students in an exam was asked to show on a dead body, it happened to be a male dead body, where the womb is. And he was going, I'm sorry, this is a man, and the professor was utterly confused. So anyway, they were looking for the womb in the...
Well, it's a sign of the times, because from the perspective of what we're exploring here, men have wombs.
I know, I get that, but
that's why we got that. That's why you shared that. The professor was just tapping into something. See, it's a new zeitgeist. This see this evolution. It's like, yeah, it's being taken up on the surface with Me Too movements and stuff like that. But there's a deeper morphogenesis, a morphic shift going on in our nature, where we begin to get this. It's like this sacred place of incubation, and we can look at it as the unconscious, if we like, because actually everything that happens in our life has been incubated in our unconscious. So our unconscious mind is really our womb in this deeper metaphysical sense. So once we start waking up to this sacred place inside that's transcendently secured, it becomes more important. In fact, this is part of the responsibility. Be careful what you think. Be careful what you put your attention to, because in each thing like that, you're seeding your womb, or this unconscious, and in that space, it begins to gestate and grow. So everything has to be that's seated in the womb of the unconscious has to complete itself in life. So in a sense, that's all we're doing with karma, is resolving it. These are things we gave birth to someplace within that consciousness. So we're looking at this in a way to take that further as we wake up, even in our imaginal journey inside of us, awake into this space. And it's, I think the womb is the best metaphor, because it's a place in which life is germinated, in which a divine essence enters into form. In other words, it's a place within us, in our physical being, where the word becomes flesh, in a real sense, in a tangible sense. Now we have other capacities like that, because also as we awaken more, our speech also creates. So just in the things we put speech to, start to create. Like when you think of something and say, "Let it be so," you need to be sure. because there's a speech in that, or so we start watching our speech because there's a power in it to create. So we speak more kindly, but also know that when you have to confront and say no, there's a power to what you say. When you tell truth to power, that there's a power in your speech. So this is another aspect of that capacity to create. So in this inner place, I love this phrase from the Bible. It says that which you tell God in secret is given to you outwardly, openly, and abundantly. And that was like a mysterious statement. It's like, what do you mean tell God in secret? Well, that's a way of talking to people at the level they can understand. So in a sense, what's a secret? It's something you tell and you keep. So this is a process of seeding. So in this sacred presence of yourself, you can imagine this space of this womb space in which you gestate your vision. So you have your vision, and you gestate it, you work with it. I guess it's a little bit like the inner mystery school, but and hold it and refine it, and then at some point it starts to pulse. In other words, it starts coming alive. At that point, you give it up inside to the wholeness. In other words, you give it up to this transcendent self, or this God self, so that it can begin its birth into life. So in this sense, the whole creation inside the cosmic mirror, it's like, in a sense, in this world we're living in a womb. It's at the level of this. But it's God's womb. So when you give it up, when you seed it, and then give it up, it goes into this greater creative process. And how do you? Then you become a midwife to your own creation. How do you do that? Well, you have to show up and be present and see what you notice, and you'll notice the birth process into this dimension, into this reality, and so you can tend to it. So the whole metaphor of birth and midwifing is a very easy way for us to feel into this capacity, because it carries that same quality of motherhood in a sense, and it applies to, in this divine sense, it's both male and female in that creation. So when it comes to manifesting, creating, we do this first, and that's the divine part. That's the part we identify with. And then the next phase of that is to be ready, to be present. I think there's all kinds of codes in the Bible. I know it's getting out of older audiences I can talk to this with, but it said keep your lamps trimmed because you don't know when the Lord's coming. So what that is being present with what is and seeing what you notice. It's keeping your lamps trimmed, so that when the creation appears, you're ready to respond. So you don't miss the opportunity of your own creation. On the other hand, the careless creations you made, you can also clean them up by this approach. But we're talking about a deeper process of, visioning. So one way I like to look at it is like when I'm seating this way is like a jewel. I'm fastening it, and at some point it gains the resonant capacity to start to have life. So in the seeding process, we're actually giving it life and then giving it to the larger movement of consciousness. So thus the title, Wombing the Future.
Okay, me first. Okay. I don't have a question, it's more sharing. During the first part, when you were talking, it was you said to live in the wholeness. And when I heard that, I was frightening about that. But another part of me was like feeling something with pulsation. I don't know, is it okay?
Yeah.
So it was from really, really far. And so it was weird to have something like frightening me and something pulsing from really, really far. And when you spoke about responsibility, as everything like changed, something was more aligned, and yeah, everything was moving in a good way for me. And during the meditation, I had like a kind of matrix and womb, and I was in it, and it was like experiences, exploration, and I was coming back. And the next part was to be able to access to a huge area of knowledge, and I could choose and be okay to receive this knowledge, and then to take this knowledge to use it.
Uh-huh.
So I was just amazed about the whole process, the meditation, and then the next part that you were sharing about the bond and seeding. So
yeah, you're already into that. Yeah, what a great, thanks for sharing that, because it's clearly there was some kind of ancient spiritual karma there about this, and it just cleared. Like when the moment of fear, and then you went ahead, and that just cleared it. So then the subsequent experience, you could just step into it and be on track with everything. That's just beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. So yeah, there's more confidence.
So that'll keep growing in there. It's like watching your daughter grow. It's like watching the daughter grow inside too. This divine one.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
yeah. It helps me a lot to grow.
Oh, what else? What else is there? This has to be exciting to us, or we wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
And it's nice to be part of this in a spiritual sense.
Yeah, definitely you're part of it.
Yeah. In fact, from my perspective, I'm in doing this class with the folks in the U.S. and you all. It's like I feel really honored to be able to like walk into this schoolroom with you. It's been really great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm honored to do that with you. Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
What I want to share is like, this is like for me like an advanced class to mastership of life, and I find it really interesting. And when you're talking, the thing that came to me is that this is not like a lonely path. This is something where we can come into a network of the same type of consciousness.
Uh-huh.
So we're not alone. That was my thing. That when we kind of get into the habit of going in that place, we tap into a network where other beings are doing the same thing.
Precisely. I find that just thrilling.
Sorry?
I find that just thrilling, you know, very exciting.
And about the responsibility, it's like, it's the thing also came that we had like a collective responsibility doing that.
Yeah.
And I find that great.
Thank
So,
you. Yeah.
Thanks a lot for this
Yeah.
teaching. It's really brilliant. And I'm looking forward for the next parts.
I was really happy that, or glad to have had the videos from our last session so I could on and off go back and listen to them. For me, the last week, our last session were quite challenging on a number of levels. And I'm still struggling with being torn or drawn to, oh, I just have to do something about whatever is going on, versus, no, it's enough to just be there and be there with my loving, be present to what is, and everything you said again today.
Yeah, because that's the doing something. See, where you say, well, I need to do something about that. Well, that's true, but how you go about doing it is what we're suggesting you is changing. See,
I understood that.
Yeah.
It's still, I mean, I just became present or noticed that for me it is still challenging to define, for myself see that as, oh, I'm doing something. It's not, you know, even though I know that on a certain level, but it still creates a lot of sort of fright and fear. And then everything you described earlier tonight, this sort of, solution wasn't the word you used, but sort of this identification and what it does. And I do experience that, and I find it often, unless I do like yoga or so, or I am in my meditation at times, very disconcerting. I mean, it's like, yeah, walking a high rope without a net. And so I have to remind myself, I really have to often deliberately remind myself, no, there is a net. It might feel unsafe, but it really often feels extremely unsafe.
yeah, and we just have to be present with that till it sorts out to where that's practical information, where the fear is practical information, and you're safe. And then that opens the door. And so we just have to practice. And it's still going to come up once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I do notice I'm getting better at it, and I can remind myself. In fact, I really truly can myself remind myself, and I don't need someone else to do it. But but it's still at times. But the periods of discomfort are getting shorter, at least.
Well, that's exciting. Yeah.
And that is exciting.
Yeah. And in a sense, it's just adding one more layer of reflection than you're accustomed to. Like when something comes up, you reflect on how you're going to answer. Some of that has to do with safety. Some of that has to do with strategy. You know, what's possible. But then just add this divine level of reflection. It's taking one more, go into the silence, go into that, take one more level of reflection before you know what to do.
Exactly it, and in this waiting it out and being patient, I think that to me is really the most challenging part of it all. Instead of going, as you earlier said, into a reactive mode, just sitting with it and waiting. And that sometimes feels excruciatingly long.
Well, once we get a new habit, then spirit can be very fast, and it's not so long.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like last time, understand a little bit better where it took me. what I experience, one part is like I feel a part which is like sleeping since a long time. Like I don't know if it's a part of me, but I have also this image of a house with a garden, and like this garden is sleeping since a long time, really super long time. And I feel there is like something is waking up. And I feel some energy in my eyes, like they're looking like a newborn baby. So I guess it's something about waking up, but I don't know really where I am.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. That's get used to that, because that's where you are.
used to not know.
You say at first it feels like I don't know where I am. Well, get used to that, because that's where you are.
I don't get that.
Well, it's like, did you ever wake up in the morning and for an instant you wonder where you are?
Yes.
Well, you've been someplace, right?
Yeah.
Or you wouldn't. It wouldn't be a difference. See, so it's like that. We're really in that other place, and so that awakening process is that place where we really are is seeping in. But our body self, our basic self, is used to, well, I'm in this room, this is my house, this is my neighborhood, this is my job, this is my client. See, it orients itself. This is my country. See, and all that's good. It's what you're used to. But then there's this other place that you also have been forever, and you're waking up to that, and starting to experience it in this body. Well, there's no reference point yet, so the body has to get used to. Oh, that's the center. That's where we are, and we're also all the places we thought we'd been, but we're also, see, that's the headquarters. So it's the getting your physical, psychological self used to, oh, this feeling that doesn't, at first says, I don't know where I am, is really, oh, I'm just waking up. I know where this I am. Instead of I don't know where I am, it's like this I am. And then you attach a sense of center or location to it.
Yes, now I remember in the meditation when I went through that doorway, there was a place of like pure joy, I think. But I couldn't really get it because it was so new for me that I couldn't really get it. I felt it, but at the same time I couldn't really feel it because I don't know how. And it's like that, yeah, it's waking up to that, I think now.
Yeah. So keep the practice.
Yes, I need to get used to it. Now I understand, getting used to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the sleeping part is just a really huge part. So it's like there is much more what can wake up, or what is there is so much sleep.
What do you mean sleeping part? Like physical sleeping?
Yeah, I really feel like a part is really felt deep asleep. I'm awake, and at the same time one part is deep sleeping.
Oh, that's good. You're aware of that.
Yes.
So if you're aware of both, that's a process of waking up. That's a symptom of waking up. When you start being aware of both, then you just get curious. I
really am. Yes, it makes me curious because one small part is really super awake, and like an incredible huge part is like sleeping since really super long time.
Yeah. So the antidote is curiosity.
Yes, curiosity, I feel, yes.
Yeah, so you're right on track.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, I was talking about during the last seminar about my crazy singing teacher.
You're crazy what?
Singing teacher.
Oh yeah, crazy sing. Yeah.
I learned to sing with a crazy woman. Why am I talking about her? It's about the warm experience you were talking about. I go to her place every week for 1 hour. And I would say the only thing I do, that she makes me do, is to have this part of me released.
Uh-huh.
And really that there is something, she says everything is there, and everything you create, and also the song and the sound is coming from here. And she's really in my mind and in my body. And each time I start to think, she stops me. And anytime I'm stressed or I don't find a word, stressed, she stops me as well. And the good news for me after the meditation and what you told about this place, the warmth, the seeds, is that the only thing I have to do is to continue to learn with her. I really think there is a key here. And during the meditation, what I saw, what I felt is that I was a creator and not just a creature.
Yeah. And that seems to be the same metaphor she's using for voice.
Yeah.
So it's they're both parallel. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So this is a good news for me. I just have to continue to work with her, and I know I'm really sure now that it is a very good way for me, and I'm curious.
Oh, wonderful!
Of what I'm going to discover about myself and of everything.
That sounds so wonderful. That's life. Let's do this second meditation. So again, let's close our eyes and settle into our space and invite our loving forward to fill us and surround us. And it's moving very quickly. It's nice. So again, just pick up where we left off in the last meditation and walk through the doorway and bring that energy forward through your body and through your space. And then just through your vision, also extend your consciousness into a sense of womb within yourself, that creative place inside where the gestation of life occurs, the firmament inside. And light that up, however you do that in your own imagination. And extend your authority into that. And start getting a sense of it. So just move into that space of generativeness inside. That however you have that feeling of a womb space within you, a warm, nurturing place in which gestation occurs, which the seed can be planted of your own visions. And in that space, bring together a vision that you would like to manifest in your life, or that's due to be manifested in your life. You may discover that you've already begun and didn't realize it. So start to formulate that image of that vision into this crystalline seed. And you start putting together the aspects of it, the image of it, the feeling of it, the love of it, the excitement and the enthusiasm of it. And you may notice as you do that, you hear the voices in the background for or against this project. And just bless them. And I just tell mine to wait and see and return to the seeding. So just move into that now, into this place within you, that what you conceive here, you create. And start weaving together that seed of your vision, of that which you want to greet in your life. So it's a sense of seeding and an anticipation of greeting. And as this seeding progresses, you may feel expansion in your heart. And to be open to whatever aspects you need to be aware of, the sights, the sounds, the textures. But keep bringing your attention back to this as it begins to replicate inside, begins to and at some point you'll just feel this great love for this seed that you've consecrated within the inner womb of self. And it's through that love that you can transfer it into the greater consciousness. So whatever visualization you use or observation, to just see this go up now into the high place and received by all, by the creation of all, by the wholeness, by the holiness of all that is. And then just take a deep breath and release. And then just formulate in your heart the anticipation of days to come where you're present in your life with what is. And the innocence of meeting yourself in the world with this creation, in whatever form that comes in, however it comes about. You're standing forward in your life in the anticipation of presence. And not knowing what the period of time is for the gestation in the womb of the Lord. But this is what's going on now. You and God have conceived something new to bring forward into your life. And again, when you're ready, just declare to yourself, so be it, and move into gratitude. And as it completes for you, just open your eyes once more and re-engage the group. So, any questions or comments?
I just found this really hard. I had an extremely hard time to even come up with anything. So I tried to not judge myself, and there was sadness coming up, but in terms of really going through with it, that for me was.
Yeah, that's fine. See, you have the pattern of it now.
Okay.
And so it's just like when you have something, insert it. But also in feeling the sadness, I suspect that what you ended up seeding was resolution of the sadness.
That could be, it wouldn't have occurred to me, but thank you for saying that. That helps me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's still a bit subliminal. You're connected with it, but it's a deep resolution of seeding the resolution, of whatever this ancient I won't say blockage, but something was put on hold for a time when it could come to be. So it's a really deep thing. So you may get hints in the days to come about what that was. And so it's a deeper process.
Thank you. That actually moves even as I'm listening to you, moves a lot for me. So I think you're right on. Thank you.
Yeah. So, gosh, you just seated yourself.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say, I got a question, and I wanted to, and an idea. Is it possible that the path we're on, what you're proposing, teaching, is something that's built inside us? So, like, would it be like 20% is personal stuff and 80% is global stuff? That means that if we go in that direction, then our personal stuff just gets picked off.
Yeah, see, it is built inside of you. And sometimes we're not sure because of, oh, is this really what I need to do or supposed to do or like to do? Or the thing is that once this deeper part wakes up, you may find that what you've been doing has your support. And so as you see it inside of you, oh yeah, part of my life here is doing the practical stuff, personal stuff, but then I have this bigger concern, which is for the global situation. And that's been there all along, except you may have done different things with it, like, hiding out, being confused, being frustrated, but then now you can just be sure that your life is correct. See, it gives a support to you that you no longer doubt your own life. And so it starts sorting itself out. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So that seems to be where you're going with this. In your own insight about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
So that gets to be much more fun. All the things that you thought were issues are just activity.
Exactly. Yeah.
See?
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, I was just, how is this going to continue?
I don't know. You want more of this, right?
What I'm sensing is, well, my experience is that we're not alone with this network. It's really present. It's like really close to us.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you highlighting that because that's my sense too. Good. So we've just had 2 classes, and this is our last one. And it's been a short journey, but I'd like it just a brief statement from each of you, just to kind of wrap it up for yourself, either an acknowledgement or an appreciation, or just some thank you, or maybe that's all there is, but just some verbalization from each of you about what's in your heart right now about the experience of the 2 classes. So
for me, it's a huge gratitude. I would say that since ages I was frightened about the fact to be in link with the universe and to lose the link with the reality, with my family. There was something like missing. And thanks to the last meditation, you gave me kind of the step that was necessary, and I just so happy, so excited just to say, okay, I can receive this gift from the universe and to put it in the reality to be and to give it. And just, yeah, I'm so excited to do it. So thank you for that. Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. So, and I'm really happy to have been part of this first international webinar.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next.
Yes, so after the last webinar, really a lot happened to me. It was really deep and it changed or deepened a lot. And this time again, I feel a lot is happening. I cannot get everything of it, but for me, it's really, really super important. And I really, really hope that there is possibility to continue. For me, it's important.
Okay.
And I'm thankful and I hope it continues.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank you, Robert, and the possibility to have these seminars online. It's good to have you in my life, Robert. And I just discovered now in the meditation, like, okay, I'm definitely at the right place in my life now. And I don't need to push myself at any places. I just need to be present and to meditate every morning, every evening. Wow, thank you.
That's wonderful. Yes, it's good to see you so happy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, who's next?
Yeah, many thanks from me as well, and also to Terry for, in fact, initiating this and making this, asking you to do this here for a European group. It also, apart from the seminar as such, which has been really remarkable in many respects, I'm also deeply grateful to be able to reconnect with, all of you whom I've known now for so many years, when I cannot make it to Switzerland or so. So that for me is really an added cream topping. And I found it really remarkable. This for me was the first seminar where I didn't have much of an urge to talk on my standards. So,
Yeah. Interesting. Thank you.
So the last meditation as well. Well, there's a lot of words, but I'm going to try to get the essence of this, simplify it. It was like there was this coming together in that experience of this rather substantial life project I've had of, I could call it like a relationship outside of myself. And it was like, I even tried to do that in the seating, but what I kept seeing, and it just was the clearest, was like, it was just really this me, this part of me, and the transcendental part. And it was like going all the way through. And then it was just this most beautiful image of, it was like extending out and wrapping. Like it just felt like it was wrapping. We were wrapping the globe. It was like that was the big loom. It was just this beautiful, like extending out and around and a holding of, but all people, like people. Mm-hmm. Like one light lights another light lights another light lights another. Mm-hmm. So it was really...
yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. It was something. So gratitude, yes. And humility, yes. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would say the first thing is gratitude. It's gratitude. The second thing is that I think I really can relax now. My life is going well, and all the things we share here, and the experiences, the meditations, there is really a connection with my day-to-day life, and it helps me to anchor, settle something. I don't know the word. My experiences, the experiences that I have elsewhere. And the other thing which is very important to me, and maybe the most important, is that I don't feel alone anymore.
Oh, wonderful.
And this community, this family, facilitated by you, Robert, and other people, is really important to me. And I don't want to be alone anymore. And yeah, to be with people like you, or you and other, that's a great thing. And as Daniel said, I really see the community and the collective stuff, and to be part of it and to be with you, it's wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is like a fast train, where you go inside the fast train, and the train and the track takes care of a lot of things, and then you arrive to some place, which would be for me the path of mastership. So that's where I think we're going.
Well, thanks for the analogy. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
if you could make this kind of global network, I mean, maybe a lot of people would be interested in this, and be like a worldwide stuff.
Yeah, this has been really wonderful for me too. Like I said earlier, it's taken me into a new space that is very exciting, and there seems to be a willingness just even in myself, to just embrace this and let it see where it takes us, and what can come of it, and kind of set aside my any cautious parts of myself that may have been a drag on me for some reason. They seem to be gone. So thank you all very much for making this experiment possible, to add to it. And so there's, I can really feel the blessing, the community, the participation of spirit, all being present for us. And so thank you very much. Yes. So, see you later.